Hi, Suzy. Hi, guys.
Okay, so tell us what you've been tweeting and putting on your blog and doing this afternoon, sitting there.
Earlier today, I posted a picture of my sweaty palm because I was so, nervous to speak in front of luxury professionals. Yeah, that's my last tweet.
I can't believe that you're really a nervous person, but you certainly have had one of these careers that everybody dreams about. Would you tell us where you came from and where you are now? Well, I mean, I know you're in New York now, but tell people who don't know.
Well, I pretty much have an orthodox career. I mean, it's something that I created for myself, 9 years ago. I'm a blogger. I'm a fashion blogger. I started in Manila 9 years ago. I originally started my blog as a travel journal. I went to Moscow, Russia for a month and a half, and I needed a platform where I can communicate with my friends and family about my holiday. And then when I got back, my readership grew from 30 readers a day to about 800 a day. So I just started to talk about myself.
Yes, well,
on a day-to-day basis.
You still do quite a lot of that, if I may say so.
I mean, it is the DNA of my site. I mean, it's a travel journal. It's really a personal diary.
But you've now traveled to New York, where you're a resident, and you are now considered to be one of the arbiters of style, the international arbiters of style. You're asked to go onto television to these shows when you say she's in, she's out. You are in a very strong position, and this is entirely by your own skill in marketing via the internet, your ability to make judgments. You obviously got a very strong fashion eye, you dress very well yourself. How did you really parlay all this into a business, into yourself?
I mean, I really refuse to consider myself as an arbiter of style because, I make mistakes like everybody else. It's really just like a natural instinct for me. I've loved fashion, oh my gosh, since I was 9 and 10, reading my parents' magazines, It really just came from, the idea of fantasy and dream of dressing up and dream of having beautiful things. Turning it to a business, it's a different story. There was no agenda. It just, happened organically over the years, and it's, it just happened.
When you say it just happened, it could never have happened if there weren't the internet, if there weren't cyberspace. You are an invention. You invented yourself via social media. Do you think that because you're the first generation, you have been able to leap the farthest? Or do you think you will be followed by other people who take a similar route?
I mean, I think it's going to be sad if people, followed what I did. Because, I mean, definitely we are, we as, the first generation of bloggers, I mean, we are still figuring out what we're going to be doing in the future. I mean, is it sustainable, what we're doing? I mean, do I want to be photographed, or do I want to take pictures of myself posing in front of a mirror when I'm 40 years old in 9 years? I mean, it's not sustainable. So I think to have us, to be held as a standard, I think, it shouldn't be like that. But, over the past few years, we've seen so many girls, who are following our paths and get their photos taken and everything, and it doesn't really make sense. So at least in my case, I've been doing this for 9 years. I'm trying to expand into different things, to different platforms, and just really building it as I go.
I'd like to talk to you a bit about your Asian roots. Are they important to you? After all, now you are living in America, and you have been for quite a little while now. I know you travel a lot, but do you feel yourself as an Asian person?
I consider myself as a citizen of the world. I mean, when people ask me, where do you live? It's not New York, it's not Manila, it's like seat 2A of a Star Alliance carrier. I mean, I travel so much, but I mean, I acknowledge that I'm Asian, I'm proud that I'm Asian, and it was only until last year that I moved to New York. And the only reason why I moved to New York is because of I want to improve my quality of life. It came to the point when, when I was living in the Philippines, I would spend so much time flying, and to use New York as a hub where I have more access to my friends, more access to the people that I work with. I don't have to stay up like at 6 a.m., Philippines time to communicate with people in New York in the afternoon. It really changed, my life a lot. But, I'm proud that I'm Asian, and, like even when I see my friends in New York who are like Asian students in Parsons or FIT or fellow Asian designers who I call the Gaysian Mafia, it's just, it's incredible. There's a big sense of community, but I don't think being Asian is something that, that we really use, as an advantage. It's just like, it's just something integrated with us.
Wouldn't you say, though, that Asians in general, the Pan-Asia, a lot of people are very far ahead in terms of using devices, because it seems to me that because so many countries actually skipped that period of landlines and all that stuff, if I remember rightly, if you look at the figures, it's extraordinary how many handheld devices for getting on the internet there are. In other words, everyone's got a mobile phone, to put it more clearly. So that must be an element in it. Can you not do something with that? You are so much of the digital age. Don't you imagine that you will move forward in that way as you founded your business built on yourself through the blogging?
Believe it or not, I actually generate more content when I'm not connected. And I preferred it that way, Like, I would, for example, being connected is just like like a part of how I can share what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis, but I don't rely on it completely. I generate content everywhere I go. I create pictures. I'm more creative when I'm not hooked online. Great, it's one thing to be, connected to tweet or Instagram or even blog using your phone, but it's another thing to really live your life. And that's something that's really missing these days.
So you would say that you've got to get beyond that stage, particularly the Instagram stage and the selfies, and being entirely focused on taking images of yourself or what you're doing. But surely this is very much part of our age. You can't fight against it. That's what people do now. And you no longer are 18 when you presumably you were doing that kind of thing. You were one of the breakthrough people who was using the internet to join up with your friends and everybody else. How do you see all that developing, and particularly in the fashion world? I have to say that I personally have felt a little bit, well, how shall I express this? I felt a little bit sad even that what started off as something so innocent and so full of energy and so fresh has really been managed so much now by the big brands that you see how they've got a grip on almost everybody to try and I can't say that word, but make positive what they want people to say. And I'm not accusing brands for this. It's part of a good brand strategy, I think. But we know, don't we, that there are so many people now. I believe there are 2 companies in Silicon Valley who are fixing tweets so that they're hired by companies so that if anything negative goes out, they they drown it as soon as they possibly can with positive things. Don't you think that there is a loss of innocence in the whole thing of blogging?
Oh, definitely. Even though there's a lot of bloggers out there who just literally start their blogs because they want to get the free clothes. They're blinded by the glamour, if at all. When I first started blogging, I just wanted to tell a story, and now you have a lot of a whole new generation of bloggers who just do something different. And I feel like it's really sad that it's gone that way, but to a degree, a blogger will still, share something with their personal point of view, And I don't think it's bad that bloggers are working with brands and to some extent. I think it's a great synergy, especially if it's a natural fit. But it is what it is.
I feel that the everything to do with the internet and connecting has been really very beneficial to the fashion world, and particularly to designers. Say you're a designer somewhere in the middle of nowhere, perhaps in China. You really can hook up in a way that's never been possible before. So I must say I see everything as more or less a plus in that world. But in your own case, you sound as though it all came upon you. It was all a tremendous thing, but it wasn't planned. And now you're saying you have to plan your future now and see how you can turn what you have become, which is somebody who is world famous, into something else. Not just turn it into a bug, but turn it into a career. Is that right?
Yes. I mean, I found my vision. I mean, like, you cannot build a brand based on, multimedia these days. You have to have a vision, and it's vision that paves the way to, and gives meaning to your identity and creativity and everything that you do.
Would you ever consider working with a big company? I mean, whether it was a big luxury company or with a big retailer. After all, you are a style guru to many people. You may laugh at this, but I would say, but I'm only a fashion editor, that you're very well dressed. But you surely are able to use those skills, or do you not want to?
It's, I could never say never, but at this point, it's still premature.
So, what is your master plan?
Entertain people through my blog, and make people smile, and really just encourage people to dream. Because after all, it's everything starts with a dream. So
we've been talking so much for a long time about young designers and how they can make a breakthrough. And I really feel very much that I would like to be able to see more energy put into designers from all over the world who are not in central places and whose parents cannot afford for what are now extremely expensive art colleges. Things have changed very much. How do you think a young designer really can progress? What should they be doing to step forward, whether you're talking about here in Singapore or in your own home country or in New York, anywhere?
I think you really have to create, something like a strong aesthetic and try to adapt it, to a wide audience. I mean, for example, there's so many designers, and I could only speak from designers in the Philippines, for example. I mean, a lot of them have great talent, but not many of them can adapt what they're doing to their consumers, and you really just have to have like a really strong aesthetic and try to, adapt it to like a wider audience.
Why can you not be a designer?
Because I'm a consumer, and it's just like not in me to create.
The whole sort of topic of today's sessions has really been about this question, about whether Asia can, will and should continue to be a consumer of luxury, or whether it can be a creator of luxury. Do you think one day you'll be dressed head to toe in clothes made in Asia, Asian countries?
Definitely, definitely. I mean, what needs to happen in Asia is really to have the support, have infrastructure, and have a lot of mentoring, to turn their brands into like global brands. I mean, Asia in general there's so many cultures out there, and in order for one to like penetrate like multiple cultures at different time, you have to find a common denominator that everybody could appreciate. I mean, this is why, brands from the West are so popular, because, anybody, whether you're in China, whether you're in Indonesia, whether you're in the Philippines, like, you can wear that item. Whereas I feel like with some Asian designers, it's just so insular, and they just like try to adapt to their local market.
Yes, but surely there's more to it than that, isn't there? I mean, how do you become an international designer? As I was just saying, it was sort of 10 minutes ago, that I can remember when in England people never got that much further, or they got a great deal of fame, but they didn't actually go anywhere. I mean, how can you keep talking about brands as though people who are designers also create a brand aura around themselves. How do you do that?
It's unexplainable. It's, hype. It's magic. I mean, even with brands like, for example, with Philip Lim or Anna Sue, it's just, it really happens. I mean, it has to be relevant. I mean, if you are a designer, I mean, are the things that you are creating relevant to today's audience or today's, consumer? I mean, it has to be relevant. It has to be of the moment. Or you just have to provide or create something that people will want, not today, but tomorrow.
But how? This is the whole question, isn't it?
That's part of it. It's magic. You cannot create it. It's just, it happens.
Yes, someone in the audience here wants to explain what magic is, yes. Can you just wait for the mic and then say who you are as well? And can you say who you identify yourself, please?
With pleasure, Suzy. Karine Ohana. We are, my brother and myself, we have an investment bank specialized in the luxury, retail, and lifestyle, based in Paris and New York. And the word I was trying to give is genuine. We believe that success starts with genuine. We believe that the founders, the people who create something, created first because they genuinely felt it was something that is needed, and they do it from their own passion and very fondly their own integrity. And when you feel this integrity, when there is this integrity in the product, in the creation, then there is success. This integrity is transmitted to the consumer. The consumer feels when the designer didn't cheat. That's all. I agree with you completely. I agree completely. I just thought that the word genuine could be complementary to your speech.
Does anybody else want to have any questions that they want to ask Bryan, or any comments they want to make? Yes, in the middle of the floor over there.
Hi, Suzy. Hi, Bryan.
Hi. Well, can you say who you are? Because we're just blinded by these lights. Sorry.
My name is Jacques-Christophe Branelec, and I'm representing Jewelmer Joaillerie out of the Philippines. And today we've spoke a lot about European brands entering Asia. How about strong, budding luxury brands in Asia? Do they have to be successful in New York, London, Paris before becoming successful in our home turf?
Okay, Bryan, do you want to answer that? What do you think?
That's a good question. And I know him. No, not necessarily, though. I mean, for example, I can only speak for myself. I mean, I became, I would say I became, I gained profile in America or like in the West. And now it seems like most of the projects that I'm doing are in Asia because, this is where the money's at. But, for a young brand, I mean, for like a young luxury brand, I don't think you need to be successful, anywhere. I mean, success is success, regardless of what, where you are. I mean, you don't need to be successful in New York or in Milan, in Paris, in order for you to be successful in China, for example. I mean, success is success.
Thank you.
Are we allowed to hear about some of these projects that you're working on in Asia?
Yes. I I was here in Singapore 2 months ago for Charles & Keith. They had to attend, their store opening, their launch opening, their flagship opening, and they had to do like social media coverage for them. They had to do a video, and just like things like that.
So just so I understand, this is organizing social media coverage among your peers.
Yes.
It's not just your coverage. So no.
Right. So like coverage for the brand, doing press. Yeah.
Any more questions out there?
Don't be shy.
Yes, Angelica.
I just want to ask, with social media, what you
You've got the mic there, Angelica. It's easier for everyone.
With the social media, the entry barrier is very low. Basically everybody can be a little media and then you can spread. And in your business, with all these young people coming in and trying to voice their opinions copying what you do, or in some cases they might have something else, something to add. So what is your take? How do you see the future, when it further grows and more young people joining in being you? And how do you sustain that lead, and how do you develop that into something that is more advanced?
I didn't get quite a question.
Well, I mean, I do, because, it actually, it's a sort of double question, really. Can there be another you?
There could never be, another me, because what makes me, myself is, my personality, my point of view, my voice. And nobody can, there will never be any, the next Suzy Menkes, or the next Angelica Chong, the next Anna Sui, the next Philip Lim. Because what makes us is our identity, our point of view, our voice. So to the people, to the young people out there, you really have to have your own vision. You have to have your own voice, because that's what makes you unique.
So what you're saying is there can't be another you, but you can add to the great number of people out there. Somebody can have the kind of success maybe that you have, and somebody could use some of the same tools, which are tools of the digital age, but they wouldn't be you, they would be themselves, and that would be the whole point of it.
Definitely. There's space for everybody.
What's going to happen in the digital world next? After all, we didn't even know that Instagram existed until 2 years ago. What's next?
I hope they return to privacy. I mean, I read an article before, how Phoebe Fowler said it, the best, luxury there is like when you're not Googleable. I hope we see a return to privacy out there.
I'm not sure I feel you've contributed to this a lot. Yes, Angelica, again.
Yeah.
Angelica Chung needs another mic.
And the one thing we find with this digital business, media, is that there are always constantly new toys being launched. So you have Twitter, you have Instagram, then you have WeChat, you have WhatsApp, you have a lot of other things. So, a lot of people, while they are trying to build up this volume, and then something else comes up, and they have to build up that volume. So with you obviously with your blog, you have your fan base. So how do you treat, what's your attitude towards those new toys? And do you feel you have to also expand there? Do you have a natural advantage when you expand to new areas? Or I just want to know your feeling about...
Personally, I focus on what I'm good at. I mean, I don't need to join, 4 or 5 outlets at any given time. I focus on what I'm good at. I mean, I must say, though, that, I'm a very late adopter when it comes to, new platforms. Like, I only joined Instagram last year. And when I joined Instagram, I felt like, oh, my God, this is going to kill my blog, because I update, every 5 minutes. So the blog became secondary where, it takes time. I'm still a one-man circus, a one-man employee. I do everything by myself. So from 9 years ago, I would spend 16 hours a day in front of the computer, posting 2 blog entries a day. Now I'm so lucky to post 1 entry a week. So somehow my blog became, very editorialized. I only put real great pictures there. Whereas with Instagram, that's where I put, my flotsam and jetsam and anything, instantaneous. But to go back to your question, there's really, for me, I don't really pressure myself to join a lot of outlets. I just, focus on what I'm good at.
I want to close this session by asking you the very important question. What are you going to wear tonight?
If I'm still awake, I'm going to wear a blue suit. A navy blue suit represents the sea.
Very good. We look forward to seeing you in all your beauty tonight, dressed for the sea. Thank you so much, everybody, for... Thank you, Brian, for being so entertaining.
Thank you,
and you're always such a great read and even better to talk to.
Thank you.
So,
thank you.